a foosball table, and 2 beer kegs. Now that I put those few images in your head, would you say that I was talking about a frat house or an office space?
Your house.
My house. Your house. No, I was not talking about my house. I don't have a tree house. Sometimes kegs with beer, but that's fine. Anyways, I am actually talking about a place that I just experienced this past Friday. I went to Chicago and I visited Red Frog Events, which is an event planning organization and their headquarters is in Chicago. So what they do is they plan running races. And they plan running races that they created themselves, the most popular one being the Warrior Dash. I'm not sure if any of you have heard of it. It's gotten pretty big. It has like 65 locations around the U.S. And each race, in the beginning, this race, the Warrior Dash, drew maybe 1,000 participants. Now, each one of their races has around 25,000 participants. So they're huge. They won the Small Business Award in Chicago this past year and are just racking up the merits for themselves. So I visited them as part of a Career Center workshop, and I found out some things about them. 3 things in particular really caught my eye and made me decide that I am very drawn to this organization called Red Frog Events. The first one being novelty. So this place prides themselves in being original and creating these running races where people jump over fire and run through mud and climb up stuff, all these ridiculous things. So they're fresh, they're original, and they've made a name for themselves in that way. The second thing would be quirkiness. So as I stated in the beginning, they have kegs of beer in their office that they just decide to throw back in the middle of the day. They have a foosball table that their employees can kind of relax if they've just got too much on their mind. And so their quirkiness was something that I found really attractive because sometimes you see all these working stiffs in their suits and such, and you just think, why do we have to do that? Are people really the most productive during their day by sipping coffee and, being professionals? So I liked their novelty, their quirkiness, and finally, I thought the connection that the organization embodies was really special. These running races bring a lot of people together that want to, be fit and prepare to run a race that's either a 5K, 3.1 miles or something like that, but it's also, they're trying to create human experiences. They want to maybe have like a group of people that work together say, let's go run the Warrior Dash. They go off that weekend and they have an experience that is utterly unforgettable. So, after I decided that I liked this organization for those 3 reasons and many more, novelty, quirkiness, and the connection that they provide to people, I thought, I want to apply. I want to try to see if I can get into this very competitive organization. So I'm looking into how do I apply, and I find out that even as an intern, you have to come up with some way to distinguish yourself from the rest, because they have thousands of interns apply every day. One intern baked them a cake with their cover letter on it and sent it to them. Another one sent a mariachi band to their front door and had the mariachi band sing their cover letter. And finally, I guess one girl sent them a full-size picture of herself, and that it was just sitting in their office for a while. But she got an interview. So, I'm thinking all the way back from Chicago. How do I get this place to notice me? I have a mediocre budget because I think that's acceptable. An intern here. So I'm brainstorming, and I think I want to send them a video of all of my friends leapfrogging. So, my main goal here is I want to try to figure out how to emulate their goals while portraying myself. So I said they're quirky, they're novel and original, and they provide connections. So, the purpose of my speech today is to try to convince you guys after Toastmasters is through today to let me film you leapfrogging. And you should do this because I've totally compelled you, and that I should work for this organization, and you want that for me as great Toastmasters and friends. So I'm trying to emulate the goals of theirs by being quirky, find leapfrog to be sort of silly, childish game, but hey, maybe they'll find it quirky. And I think, doing these kinds of activities would provide a connection from you and I. And finally, I'm looking for something original, so I can compete with the girl that's in the mariachi band in a picture of herself. So after all this, I just finally would like to just give a little anecdotal bit about trying to work at this cool running race Warrior Dash company. And I started thinking a lot about how I've spent a lot of time in the past couple of years, and I think it's at times something that a lot of Michigan students sort of get caught up in, because we're a very competitive university, but I've just been pursuing something that looks the best on my resume. You go after the really dazzling thing that looks great on paper and will really, or so you think, raise you up in this world. But at some point I realized, I am an active athletic junkie, and I like to teach little kids volleyball and stuff and go play outside for as much time as possible. So why shouldn't I want to work for some place that the pure thing that you do is try to create human experiences for people while running around in the mud and playing outside. So if I thoroughly compelled you to help me out, I invite you to stick around for a few minutes after if you want to have a throwback memory to childhood and do some leapfrogging. And I thank you all very much.